Good afternoon, everybody. Time now is 1 p.m. on this Wednesday, first alert weather day. A lot of weather to talk about. It is much colder than it was 24 hours ago. I mean, we were pushing 70 at Hartsfield-Jackson this time yesterday afternoon. We had the gloom, the storms. Now, as we take you outside, we have the sun. This is one of our steadiest cameras we have. It's not shaking very much, but look at what conditions are outside right now. Temperature 47, and this is only a couple minutes old. This is fresh data in from Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Feeling like 40 with those gusty winds blowing on this windy and cold first alert weather day. Notice the trees moving. This is right outside Atlanta News First. We're looking east across the connector towards the Midtown skyline. Most recent wind gusts at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, 39 miles per hour. We were seeing wind gusts approaching 50 miles per hour not too long ago. So it is a windy first alert weather day. I want to thank you for tuning in and for streaming Atlanta News First Plus on this Wednesday. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Cutter Martin here with a check of your forecast. And a reminder, if you have any weather questions, comments, concerns, a couple places we can chat, one of which is on YouTube. Atlanta News First is the account that we are streaming on right now. In fact, we have the stream up. Folks are watching. No questions just yet. That's one option. Perhaps if you're streaming on Roku, Amazon Fire, or in the app, you can simply text us, 470-777-9263. Again, we're going to go ahead and pop that up for you, 470-777-9263 or WANF. Even after the stream ends, I will check that feed, and if I did miss any questions, we'll simply text you right back. All right, getting back to the forecast again, hour by hour, temperatures continuing to, we'll call it level out. Again, not going to warm all that much more. Probably going to remain pretty steady in the mid to upper 40s across the metro with conditions remaining windy. So it's going to be a windy day, first alert weather day, as we mentioned, primarily because of the big drop in temperature and the wind that we have blowing out there today. So do keep that in mind. Lots of wind, even for that drive home tonight. If you, for example, drive on I-20, east or westbound, leaving the office a little early, 3 or 4 p.m., you can feel that tug at the steering wheel with winds gusting easily 35 to 45 miles per hour across pretty much all of metro Atlanta and North Georgia. In fact, here's another map. These are sustained winds, not the gusts, but that constant wind, 20 in Atlanta, 20 in Canton, 18 in Covington, and as mentioned, occasionally we are seeing wind gusts 35, 45 miles per hour. And for that reason, the only update we have, which is not much of an update, but an update from yesterday evening, we do have a wind advisory in effect for pretty much all of North Georgia. So if you're streaming anywhere across the metro, it is certainly a windy one out there, and windy enough to prompt the issuance of a wind advisory. Again, the National Weather Service saying wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour, though we have seen a few gusts stronger than that. So I would say 35 to 45. Let's plan on that, and occasionally a few wind gusts make it up to about 50 miles an hour. So very windy. If your yard was not a mess after yesterday's rain and kind of breezy winds, it certainly will be a mess today with cold temperatures. So not the best day to get outside and clean it up. We do expect, though, winds to die down this evening. Again, it will be a little calmer this evening. Winds will finally give way to kind of a calmer condition. Again, this is a look at sustained winds, the forecast here, for the next 12 hours or so, going deeper into the evening. We're going to keep that first alert weather day going through late afternoon, early evening hours, and then sunset will bring some relief. Notice sustained winds still 17 at 3. That's a little notch lower than right now. As the sun begins to set, 6 p.m., set by that point. 10 mile per hour sustained winds, 8 mile per hour sustained winds, 9 p.m. at midnight, 3 a.m. So yes, there will be a breeze, enough to make the 30s by that point feel like 20s, and 40s feel like 30s, but not the kind of wind we are seeing, we're experiencing, we're feeling. It's really brisk out there this afternoon on into the earliest portion of the evening. So a calmer one is ahead, but for the time being, we do have quite a bit of wind in the forecast. Jason B, when is the next chance for rain? Any possibility of a white Christmas? Let me get my crystal ball out of the shop. It's in the shop right now, so special for you, Jason. I cannot tell you whether it is going to snow on Christmas, but what I will say is that, Jason, while the first part of this month, it's been cold. We've had several hard freezes in Atlanta by this point. Temperatures running actually notch below average. It looks like the pattern that produced the cold start to December is going to relax a little bit. So as we get into mid to late December, it's possible, and I hate to be the bearer of not so good news, it is possible that we could actually see a warmer pattern develop out there across not only North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, but across much of the central and eastern United States could end up being a warmer, unfortunately, last 2 weeks or so of December. So if anything, if timing is not on our side here, we could have a warmer Christmas, a warmer than average Christmas. So I would say that the odds of snow are low, but eventually this pattern will recycle, it'll change again, and we could snap back to colder weather right at the end of December into January. So it's all about timing as far as that Christmas forecast is concerned, but it's always unusual and rare and a very low chance to have any sort of white Christmas material out here in North Georgia, Metro Atlanta. It can happen, but certainly something that is not likely to happen. Now, something that we're much more confident in, next chance of rain in the forecast as we pull out the first Alert 7-day forecast here, in the forecast as we get into the weekend. So this weekend will not be terrible, Jason, but certainly Saturday I think is the pick day. An isolated rain chance, a possibility as we get into maybe a few sprinkles. That's what I mean by isolated rain chance. Friday, more clouds than anything else. So still a nice Friday for the plans. But Saturday, mid to upper 50s, it's chilly. Struggling to hit 50 Sunday, lots of clouds, and at least scattered rain in the forecast. So Saturday is the pick day to get outside. Sunday is going to be the day with the more inclement weather, the day that has weather that could, have you shifting around the plans. And then we're going to warm back up, 40s and 60s, back closer to average, maybe just a smidge above as we get into the middle of next week. Hey, I want to thank everybody for streaming. Reminder, next check of the forecast starting on Atlanta News First, WANF at 3 p.m. I'll have my hands on the wheel there, steering the ship at 3 p.m. forecast-wise. And then as we get into the evening hours, I'll be joined by First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez, First Alert Meteorologist Patrick Peed. We will also be keeping you updated on the wind and the cold in the First Alert weather app and at AtlantaNewsFirst.com. Thank you for watching ANF Plus. Weather portion of the stream is wrapping up. Handing it back over to anchor Joy Lim Nakrin. Joy, it is cold. It is windy outside.
Cutter, you're a tough act to follow. I'm going to try to keep up with you, Cutter. So first thing I want to let everybody know is that the peach drop is back. So you know that it's kind of been on again, off again in recent years. So it's not always a certain thing, but I am here to tell you that New Year's Eve peach drop is officially returning to underground Atlanta. And that's what the mayor's office just announced today. Atlanta's iconic hip-hop store, Big Boy, is going to be headlining this event. Night is also going to feature performances by Neon Trees, RES, local artists, emceed by Atlanta's own Ryan Cameron. And again, Atlanta's canceled the peach drop several times in recent years. It debuted in 1989. It was called off in 2018 because the city said they couldn't secure underground Atlanta as a location at that time. And then the COVID-19 pandemic led to it being canceled in 2020 and 2021. Came back in 2022. Did not happen in 2023, but it is back once again for this year's New Year's Eve celebrations. City saying that they expect tens of thousands of people to attend this year at Underground Atlanta. Festivities kicking off at 6 p.m. with the peach dropping at midnight, and much, much more to come as we approach New Year's Eve. Okay, let's talk about a water issue and a boil water advisory in place right now in parts of Forsyth County, not too far from Chattahoochee Elementary School and the fire station number 5. So water service is slowly being restored after a water main break. But as a precaution, this advisory is going to remain in place until all water service is restored. Again, this is incoming in Forsyth County, this boil water advisory in place for now. Also under investigation at the moment, a deadly crash, and this is in Atlanta. Police are looking into what caused this crash involving a moped early this morning. Investigators tell us a man on that moped was driving erratically on North Highland Avenue, and at some point he was hit by a car. He died on scene. No word if the other driver's facing charges, the moped's driver not being released at this particular time. We're also following the latest on this disturbing case. Today the trial continuing for the woman who allegedly beat her girlfriend's young daughter to death in Gwinnett County, and prosecutors say that little girl's mom also tried to cover it up. Atlanta News First Asia Wilson has more.
Celeste Owens is the one on trial. She's accused of killing her girlfriend's daughter. So far, jurors have viewed video of Owens hitting 8-year-old Amari Hall and her younger siblings. Detectives believe Owens hit Amari in the head several times, killing her nearly 3 years ago. Investigators say the young girl was then dumped in a wooded area in DeKalb County. All of this after she was reported missing by her mother, Brittany Hall. The mother called 911 suggesting the girl may have wandered off from the extended stay where they were living. Police claim the call you're about to hear was all an act. Prosecutors believe both women tried to cover up the murder.
When did you last see her?
Last time I seen her was last night. I went to sleep. She had on a white shirt. She had on pajamas. They were blue. They had like the other Tweety Bird on them.
Okay, so white shirt with Tweety Bird on it?
Yes.
Both Brittany Hall and Celeste Owens face multiple charges, including murder. Hall is expected to have a court trial at a later date. Owens will be in court this morning. In Gwinnett County, Asia Wilson, Atlanta News First.
And there's some growing debate right now, as you know, we're experiencing a lot of chilly nights right now. Growing debate in Atlanta over new restrictions about where warming centers can be located. The city recently passed a policy that says a warming center cannot be within 1,000 feet of a school, but housing advocates say that's not fair. Atlanta News First, Brittany Ford has more.
The old Adamsville Recreation Center is one of the City of Atlanta's designated warming shelters. The facility is located across the street from Frederick Douglass 9th Grade STEM Academy.
There have been incidental issues that parents have raised.
Councilmember Julian Bond says ongoing complaints prompted City Council to pass a resolution requesting that a warming center not be within 1,000 feet of a school.
This has come out of the position that we want to make sure that the environments are safe for the children.
A policy that isn't sitting well with housing advocates.
We need as many warming centers as possible. We need, wraparound services. We need affordable public housing.
Monica Johnson is with the Housing Justice League.
If we have, hundreds, thousands, however many people who don't have shelter on a given night, I don't think that we should be assuming that those people pose a threat to the wider community. They're part of the community. There's a threat that they're under, which is the fact that they can't find housing.
She says the resolution was passed without public input and is calling on city leaders to revisit the legislation.
I think it needs to be looked at again.
Bond says the resolution is simply a guidance tool for city officials who plan and coordinate warming center locations.
This is a resolution. This is a policy statement of the city. It's not a law, so no one is going to be persecuted.
And a very unique race is coming to Roadway Atlanta this coming weekend. Not exactly NASCAR, far from it, but the drivers are going to be racing for a good cause. Atlanta News First reporter Josh Skinner explains.
It can be difficult to start your engine when this is the engine you're starting.
This is our race car.
And Kurt Schuttinger will be driving this bad boy this weekend.
We're a bunch of rookies, and no one expects us to do very well.
Let me drive you through what's going on. The car, named Red, will participate in this weekend's 24 Hours of Lemons at Roadway Atlanta.
We don't know what we don't know.
Schuttinger and 6 other drivers will rotate through Red, not to win the race, but to raise money for the Atlanta Ronald McDonald House charities.
Our goal is to raise money for a new room at the hospital.
The massive new Arthur M. Blank Children's Hospital means more rooms are needed for kids and families.
There's been more need than the Atlanta Ronald McDonald House can meet.
The new Ronald McDonald House is set to be completed in 1 year. Schuttinger and his McDonald's team are driving to raise $50,000, enough to build one room at the house. As the race name suggests, cars can't cost more than $500.
So this is a stock 2001 Saturn SC. It has no windows. It doesn't even have a passenger seat.
Even so, the car is a legit race car.
Not street legal. The biggest thing is not to wreck the car.
Where's the ignition?
Schuttinger expects Red, which is kinda held together by duct tape, to make it 200 miles over the 14 hours of racing. And why not also achieve that big childhood dream?
I think this is every boy's dream to drive a race car.
I'm Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News First.
And more on that and all of your top stories on AtlantaNewsFirst.com or on our free mobile news app. Now back to local news live.